VOA News. I'm Christopher Cruz reporting. President Trump says he probably won't agree to be interviewed by the special investigator who is looking at possible links between his presidential campaign and Russia. Trump suggested that his written answers to the investigator's questions will be his final response. He told Fox News that in recent days he gave, quote, very, very complete answers to questions I shouldn't have been asked. Probably this is the end. The U.S. State Department says a final conclusion about the killing of Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi has not yet been reached by the U.S. government. The Trump administration is taking issue with reports that cite a U.S. official as saying American intelligence agencies have concluded that the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman ordered the killing. President Trump says he's been told about an audio recording of the killing inside Saudi Arabia's consulate in Istanbul early last month, but he has no intention of listening to it. Associated Press correspondent Ben Thomas reports.
President Trump confirms the U.S. has the recording, describing it in an interview with Fox News Sunday as a suffering tape.
I've been fully briefed on it. There's no reason for me to hear.
But whether the killing was done on the orders of Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman...
who can really know? But I can say this. He's got many people now that say he had no knowledge.
On NBC's Meet the Press, Senator Lindsey Graham says of the Crown Prince...
He's irrational, he's unhinged, and I think he's done a lot of damage to the relationship between the United States and Saudi Arabia, and I have no intention of working with him ever again.
The U.S. Special Representative for Afghanistan Reconciliation says despite challenges and difficulties, he is cautiously optimistic or hopeful about facilitating an inter-Afghan peace dialogue to end the 17-year-long war. This is VOA News. The Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit in Papua New Guinea ended Sunday without a formal agreement. That's the first time that's happened in the summit's nearly 30-year history. The American Vice President Mike Pence attended.
There are differences today. They begin with trade practices, with tariffs and quotas and forced technology transfers, the theft of intellectual property. But it goes beyond that to freedom of navigation in the seas and concerns about human rights.
Amid a trade war between the United States and China, leaders from the two countries failed to agree on the possible language of a final statement. Officials in northwestern India say 3 people were killed, 10 wounded in an attack on a religious organization Sunday. 2 men entered the building in Amritsar and threw a grenade at the followers of the Nirankari sect. There's been no claim of responsibility for the attack. The death toll from a cyclone that hit the coast of southern India Friday has risen to 32. Rescue workers found 13 bodies Friday and 20 on Saturday. It's been a year since Australians voted to legalize gay marriage in a historic postal ballot. Almost 5,500 same-gender weddings have taken place since that time, when marriage was redefined as a union of 2 people, despite fierce opposition from religious and conservative groups. Correspondent Phil Mercer reports for VOA from Sydney.
The law divided Australia. While almost 8 million people voted in support of same-sex marriage, about 5 million opposed the reform. Paul Kennedy from the Coalition for Marriage said it was morally wrong.
There is no other institution that is as important as marriage, anthropologically, biologically, historically, that defines the relationship that best nurtures a man and a woman and their capacity to raise children.
But the reform has been embraced by the gay community. It's estimated that 10% of same-sex couples in Australia have married since the law was changed.
Republican Rick Scott has won Florida's U.S. Senate race, defeating the incumbent Democrat Bill Nelson, ending 2 weeks of insults, lawsuits, charges, and countercharges. Scott says Nelson graciously conceded the election Sunday after a mandatory hand recount gave the Florida governor a 10,000-vote margin. State election officials are expected to certify the results Tuesday. Nelson is the incumbent. He'll likely retire from politics. He held the U.S. Senate seat since 2000 after having served in the House of Representatives for 12 years. You can find more on these and other late-breaking and developing stories from around the world around the clock at voanews.com and on the VOA News mobile app. I'm Christopher Cruz, VOA News.